Wife. There she is. Hi guys, welcome back to Healeyverse Creations. Today we are going to be looking at making some medieval style coin purses. Let's see how we get on with that. Okay, so for any of you who've seen it, or for those of you who haven't, a rather strange character turned up at our door a few weeks ago and he wanted a one sheath, which I wasn't planning on making another one ever again because of the torment. But he offered to pay me, and when he paid me, he did so using this, which I thought was pretty cool when I saw it for the first time, because I definitely didn't make this off camera and then think, oh, this would actually be a great idea for a video. I wouldn't do that. So that was exactly where my brain went. Once I had my hands on it, I was like, right, that's really cool. And what I'm going to do is a class variation of it. So I'm going to do a cheap, a affordable, and a expensive, or a poor, common, and royalty, or nobility, however you choose to frame it. I wanted 3 different stages of coin purses, and god damn it, I will have them. So first thing I'm going to do is hand you over to my lovely wife, who is going to handle the first one for me because it's too fiddly and I don't like it.
Hi guys, it's me. Initially, when Matt said he wanted to do this project together, I wasn't entirely sure what he meant, or what role I would play in it. I found out pretty quickly. So essentially, I made this pouch. Now, he wanted me to do the softer material sewing with the chamois leather because, well, initially I was going to use my sewing machine, but then we ran into the same problem with chamois leather that we did last time, in that you can't really pin it, and I didn't want to mess it up, so I was like, you know what, I don't mind, I'll hand sew it. Obviously such a great idea. The great thing about this is he did all the cutting for this. It was literally 4 pieces of chamois leather cut to this design and 1 piece cut to this, which is a square 90 centimeters by 90 centimeters. If you wanted a bigger pouch, you could make it 100, or if you want a smaller, you can make it 80. It's just square. Once I had the 4 pieces, the first step was to line them up. Now it was pretty straightforward. Simply marked the center of my base square and the center of each of the side pieces, line them up. I actually found a neat little trick for marking chamois leather. Instead of taking the punch and pressing a tiny bit and then going back and marking the little divots left with the pen, I just ran the felt tip pen along the prongs and then pressed those in, and it left really subtle marks. They were going to be on the wrong side of the fabric, as seamstresses say, so they were going to end up inside the pouch anyway. Really didn't matter, and they'd probably rub off by the time the pouch was in use. That and sewing was probably the most time-consuming bit of the whole thing, because again, I did agree to hand sew it, and goodness, it brought back memories of making that leather jerkin, which, if you want to see that video, go check it out. That was a lot of hand sewing of chamois leather, but this actually came together really quickly. It was such a fun little project. By the time I had I think I had 3 sides on, I realized, what am I going to do for the cord? I could have just cut holes in the leather to thread the cord through, but we wanted to put a little bit more effort into it, and so I just cut little, maybe like inch by 2 inch pieces of chamois leather to sew on, maybe 20 mil by 30 mil, or 2 centimeters by 3 centimeters, for just little scraps of chamois leather to sew on each side to thread it through. They're not perfect. Now, looking back, I'd maybe have gone with weaving it through the material itself. I want to make more of these pouches, potentially to take to LARPs as gifts for new friends, or to sell, or I don't know, decoys for theft. Use your imagination. Dice pouches, you know, for those D&D players. But essentially, making it was super straightforward. I had all the wonderful support from Matt, and I loved being a part of the process. This was our first creation that we properly did together. Obviously, the jerkin, I used him as a template, what's the word? I used him as a mannequin, so that was sort of together, but this one we actually worked together on. Obviously, he lent me a hand in the drinking horn video, but this one we planned to do together, and I think it worked out great. I'm really happy for the part I played. I'm really excited for you to see what my husband did, so I'm gonna send it back to him.
Jesus. Okay, well, now that she's done, and ever so strong, apparently. That's the first one done, and I think she did a fantastic job. I think she's very clever, and I think that this definitely deserves a like and subscribe. So I will just take a second and wait for you while you're down there. Okay, you're back. Cool. On to the next one, where I'm going to pretty much do exactly the same thing that she did, but with leather this time. The only big difference is where she's done a string on this one, I'm going to change it out for a strap. So this is going to be our middle class pouch. Let's see what we get into. So as I mentioned with this one, it's pretty much the same thing that she's done. It is the same exact templates that I'd cut out for hers, so it worked all round. 90mm by 90 square, and then this pouch shape, which pretty much sits the same. Maybe slightly shorter on the internal, about 85mm potentially, and then it comes out slightly wider at the base. Rinse and repeat. I'm just going to be stitching it together, so in the sides to the base first, so they'll be facing in like this, and then when it's done we'll just be turning it inside out so that everything nice is on the outside. However, I did mention I'm going to be adding like a belt loop and a Sam Brown button to this one. I do love my Sam Brown buttons. Ever since I saw them on Skill Tree for the first time, I was like, getting me some of them. So got me some, I did, and on we go to doing the exact same thing pretty much. Like I say, I'm going to be using the same template that she used to make her string loops, whatever you prefer, except slightly wider, just so that I can get a belt through it rather than a string. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach the belt to one of these loops so that it can then go through, round, and then back through on itself. On that same one that it attaches will also have the Sam Brown button, so it'll all be attached at the same point, come all the way around and hook back onto itself, so it should be nice and strong. So that will be number 2. And again, very medieval. I really like them. I'm really liking how they're turning out so far. The only thing that I would potentially mention to you, should you decide that you want to do something like this yourself, is when it comes to this top corner, I would potentially change your stitch when you get to around this inside corner point here. Should you decide to do this yourself, like I said, very simple. You can follow this, and this is pretty much how it will look. It's fine, it's great, works as a coin purse, but if you want more of that curved out shape, I think what you'd be better doing is changing how you're stitching it when you get to around this curve here, and potentially then bringing it so that it was flat and hit it with a whip stitch, so that as it comes out it keeps that shape. Because what you're finding is that as we're turning it inside out, it's actually pulling all of the corners in, so it's going more this sort of shape when it's done, which, like I say, it still works fine. But if you like that sweeping coin purse shape, which I very much do, the whip stitch helps it hold that form a lot better. So without holding you in suspense anymore, let's get into that one, because this is the I'm super proud of this one. I'm incredibly excited to be able to show you, but first I need to explain how it's done. It's only fair. So for the first 3 stages of this, it's the same thing, except I'm doubling up on the leather, for one, to make everything thicker and more sturdy and robust, because it's expensive, you know, it's got to feel thick. This thing feels great, but it's got to feel better. It's got to feel like it's worth spending the contents of this to buy this. So let's see if we can get that. Going to be doing the same thing, same process for the first 3 stages, the same size square at the bottom base, the same size template for the 2 sides and the back side. The only difference is this time I'm doubling it over. So for the 2 side pieces, I'm actually going to use 1 piece of leather. I'm going to mark it so it's double this template, so it's this side and this side, and then I'm going to fold that in on itself so that it's double-sided nice leather, because I've got this really nice thin black leather that just turns ever so silky. It feels ever so soft, and it's nice. And since this pouch is, spoiler alert, probably going to be for Katie, because, you know, we're building her costume. So one of the main things that I want to do is make sure I keep to a certain colour scheme again. Black, red, browns, all good. Don't want to start throwing blues or yellows or oranges or anything in there, because they're not her colours. I want this to be a neutral pouch that either of us could use, but that it will look good with her kit, because she deserves to have things that look good. So yes, the 2 black sides are going to be the same leather folded over on itself, because it's a nice thin stuff, and even when it's doubled up, it's still nice and manoeuvrable, malleable, squishy. These 2 sides need to compress, because I've got big plans for the front of this. I want the front to stay nice and sturdy, nice and rigid, and hopefully not budge too much when everything's cinched together. As I folded these 2 layers of skinny black leather over, what I wanted to do was leave myself a channel at the top. So everything that I've glued together, I've not glued the top 1.5 centimeters or so, because I'm going to be attaching that separately and leaving a channel through the entire thing at the top end for a cord to go through and pull together. For the back piece, I chose a slightly thicker, again, this deep shade of red, very similar to the one that she used to make a horn, the horn holder. If you haven't seen that video, go check it out, great watch. So I'm going to be using the same red essentially for the back piece of this, because it's a bit thicker, and then I'm going to be using some of that thin black to back it off once more. These 3 sides are going to be the same thing, rinse and repeat. However, what I am going to be doing with this, because they're all folding over, I'm going to leave the thin black on the back of the red side slightly longer so that it can fold over and form a channel that a string can be pulled through, so I can cinch it together. But I'm also going to be adding a strap over the top of this one, similar to on my guy's pouch here. It's got a little tab that hangs over, and that just helps close everything off so that nothing can fall out, even if it would come a bit more loose. So I like the idea with a proper strap that actually does something, not just this loose tab of leather. I wanted to be a bit more detailed with this one, as I mentioned in the last video on my mum's handbag. Also, if you feel like it, go check that one out. I feel like I did a pretty good job on that one. But as I mentioned on that one, I got hit hard by Skilltree's video that came out, because he'd put so much detail and so much time into his, and I just thought, wow, it makes mine look less thought out, no less special, no less impressive, because, you know, we applaud ourselves. We've got to. No one else will. But with this one, I wanted to take that step. I wanted to make sure that this one was something that no matter who or what came out over the next few weeks, I would still look at this thing and think, God damn, I did well with that one. So I'd set myself a bit of a desire. I wanted something that felt kind of Lord of the Ringsy, but that wasn't anything directly too tied to Lord of the Rings. So what I went for was this wing pattern, which I did actually draw it out on a piece of paper that's somewhere. I don't know where that ended up. I wanted to go for this wing pattern, but I wanted it to be surrounding like a diamond or a jewel or something to signify that this thing was a coin purse or a jewelry purse or something like that. Something that made it look like it carried valuables. Because, you know, we're nobles, we've got guards, we don't care if people know that we've got a coin purse. They're not going to take it because someone that we have working in our entourage will just... With that done, I'd also been working on a new technique for this one, which was, if anyone's seen the Dragon Ball Z pouch, I did a wood burning into the leather. I wanted to go for the same thing, except then I was going to colour the surrounding leather so that it left this detail on the front prominent. Boy, when I tell you, it worked. I was so happy with how it turned out. Results speak for themselves. As I say, it was easy enough to just, I cut out a little diamond shape of red leather that just sat behind that first sheet of leather, that stitched in around the sides, painted in the edges, so that it separated the wings from the jewel. Really happy with how that front turned out. The main and most important thing was, how do I get this strap? And I wanted a buckle. I wanted a buckle on this one. We've gone from string to Sam Brown. We need a buckle on this one, so making a strap. And with this one, I'll be honest, I actually really impressed myself, because the strap that I managed to make for this was like a black and red double line thing, and what I did was I stitched the black onto the red down one side, both face up, and then I wrapped the black around the red, and then I had to stitch it through the top using a glover's needle, one of the hook needles, to feed it through and back out, the same way I do with the others, and then come back in and then go through the other way, through the opposite corresponding holes, so that it left this strap that had the stitches on the front but none on the back. Because, you know, why not? We're trying new things. It potentially would have looked just as good with the stitches on the front as well, but, you know, I wanted there to be some change. I wanted it to, when you opened it, it was pretty much all black inside, minus whatever little stitches I had to put on after the fact to attach the strap, the buckle, things like that. Little bits and bobs I don't mind so much, as long as it's inside and has a purpose. At that point, I'd made my strap, I'd got my buckle attached. It was just a case of feeding my thread through, which, again, luckily watching this Skilltree video a couple of weeks ago gave me the perfect lesson that I needed, which was get yourself a little bit of wire. My wife has these stems from the roses that she made in her paper roses and ribbon rose tutorial. Again, go check them out. We have so much stuff now, guys, you can go check it all out. But what I did was use one of these stems, hook it back on itself, pinch it shut on the cord, and then just feed it through the channels that I'd left at the tops of all of these. And that was that. Once I had that cord pulled through, we were finished. I think we're ready to have a proper check of all of them. Let me just go summon my beloved wife. And there she is. How that happened, just like that, she just appeared. Ready to show him the last one.
When I tell you, this entire thing excited me so much. I got to have some really nice input with colors and choices, so it like really fits my character, and I will not let anyone else use it. I'm kidding. Of course he can use it whenever he wants. He made it.
Okay, right. Look at that! That is our 3 stages of coin purses. I think we've managed to meet the goal, didn't we? We've got poor man's, which I really like it. I like how soft it is.
Yeah.
And like it would just go in any pocket and fit quite nicely. Whereas this thing, great as it looks, like I say, it's got the belt loop so it can just hang there proudly. You wouldn't fit this one in a pocket or a pouch. Not very easily anyway. And then this one kind of fits that nice middle area. You could have it in your pocket, tucked into a pouch or in a knapsack or something. I'm not stealing coins, that's fine.
Just take this one with me.
Just take that one and run, huh?
No, I mean, it was a really fun project. It's the first thing we've done like this where it's the different levels, and I'm really happy we got to do it together. And I am so proud and impressed with how this came out.
If you could feel how thick and just quality that feels, this one is probably, of the people that I've shown personally, this has had the best reaction so far. I'm not surprised, because damn, I did good on this one.
I'll admit, and I didn't tell him this at the time, when he was describing to me the process of how he wanted all of the edges tucked in except for the front, I was like, oh gosh, that sounds a little bit stressful with sewing. But then it just came out so nice.
It worked. It gave me the shape I wanted. You know, I was saying to you before about wanting to have that flared out at the top shape. There you go.
It has.
And it's very thick. So obviously if you did it using thinner stuff like this, the same way, so you get to this top section here and you change course, change how you stitch it, and bring your edges out and whip stitch them together, I reckon you'll have a better curved shape for
Bit
your
more
pouches.
flair.
Yeah. It still works perfectly as a coin purse. It doesn't need more flair. Oh, also, QB roll. Got our three coin purses: poor man's purse, our common man's purse, and our nobleman's purse.
I'll be honest, sometimes I feel bad for other women because they don't have a husband making them cool things like this. But
I don't have a husband making me cool things like this, so
okay, so I just feel bad for everyone.
hopefully we get plenty of use out of them. We're almost scared to take this one out with us because they're precious. Do you know what I mean?
It's so nice and so beautiful. I'm like, what if I ruin it by taking it to a LARP?
With that, guys, I think we're pretty much all done. I'm very happy with how they turned out. Let us know in the comments, how would you have done them differently? What colours would you have used? How would you change things? Would you have gone for the wide front edge like that, or would you have continued the same as we did with these and just closed them all in so it matched?
I think it's perfect. I'm not biased.
Hopefully you guys agree.
If you do, go like the video and also subscribe and also turn on notifications and leave a comment and say that he did an amazing job, because he did an amazing job and he deserves to hear it from everyone.
And so did my lovely wife. With the poor man's pouch, which I wouldn't have been able to do. I'd still be there trying to do this now. As intricate as this one seems, I'd struggle more with that. Let us know how you feel about it.
Would you be interested in seeing a pouch made? And this is just early concept, that where it's just a round piece of chamois leather. Mainly a dice pouch, I'm thinking, that pulls together into a pouch, but then you can roll it flat to then roll your dice on. Just a thought.
It was another concept we'd had about maybe doing a fourth poor man's pouch, like beggar's pouch, that was literally just circle with piece of string, potentially not even attached or just shrewdly stitched. Should we have added that in the video?
Do you want to see that?
You guys can be the judges of that one. Let us know in the comments. Make some noise. Obviously, share this with anyone who you think could appreciate this sort of thing. We're on about potentially these sort of things, especially making a few of them and taking them along to events or LARPs, just as things to either give out to people or, you know, use for like quests, or, you know, sometimes it's cool to just walk into a bar and just go, 2 ales. She doesn't drink beer.
2 ciders.
2 ales and 1
One
cider.
cider. Oh, okay.
It's alright, I don't drink ale. We're getting into rambling again, so we'll end it there, guys. Thank you very much for joining us today, and we'll see you on the next one.
Who knows what that's gonna be?
Let's give matey boy his pouch back, haven't we?
Do we have to?
I mean, we'll see. We'll see if he forgets.
I would never be unprepared for a video.